be gentle with yourself.
Okay.
Right? Like, we're going to make mistakes. Like, it's so interesting how demanding we are of other people. And when we're thinking about the demands we make of ourselves, right? And we mess up. We know the right thing to do, and we still mess up.
I done been through so much shit you couldn't fantasize it. Trying to speak on what I lost, but I could never find it. I'm sorry if I get that love that I can't recognize.
Welcome back to Opinionated the Podcast. I am your host, Joshua Hicks, and alongside me, as always, is my brother from another mother down the street, Washington. And today, we needed a little R&R, so I had to get my boys Rico and Ryan in the building. But this is a special edition of the podcast where we're focusing on Brother2Brothers. And we had to bring these two guys on here because obviously we love picking you guys' brains. You guys tell the truth. And, you know, me and Ree, we always just want to grow as men and be better. So, you guys, I just wanted to start it off a little bit by just saying, how's everybody doing?
So far, so good, man. I'm great. I hope everybody else is great that's here.
Yeah, for sure. I'm amazing. And I'm glad to be here again, bro. I'm 3 for 3 right now.
Yeah, you are. Wait, this is your third one, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. So I wanted to start off with just a health check. You know, in our community, just as men, we always got to be the tough guys, and you know, but we might have long days too where we tired and mentally we drain. We just crossing, you know, the finish line. But with me right now, you know, we've been shooting these episodes left and right. But I mean, I'm bringing out that energy for you guys because, it's nothing more important than brother-to-brother conversation. But Rico, how you feeling right now?
Right now, man, I feel great. There were some dark days, but we got over that, man. And I don't know if it's just because of the rain or what it was, but we got through that, man. We found a way to get through. So we're good now.
How about you, Ryan?
I can't complain, bro. Even if it was something to complain about, that takes too much energy away from what I could be doing about it. So I kind of feel like, you know, even us as men, we have that mindset, but even that sometimes ain't good. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes we're pushing through it because we really don't have the avenues to release it, you know, and, you know, so sometimes that's a little tough of finding that sweet spot of respecting my spirit and going after and producing things of value as a man. You know what I mean? So in the big scheme of things, bro, I'm just growing and learning how to become a better man. So I'm amazing, bro.
How about you, Rick?
I think just appreciating life itself, being alive is most important. So like you said, even if there was something to complain about, why do it? When you have tomorrow to fix it, if you know anything needs to be fixed. I think just as a man, you know, you're gonna have days where you're a 10, right? Everything's in line, everything is what it needs to be, and then some days you got a 2. You know, that's on the lower end of the scale, but at the same time, like, let's be real, we get down there sometimes where, like you said, there's some dark days, and when them dark days are, you know, at that moment, bro, it's tough.
And we're still expected to produce.
Right.
You know?
And I want to come out the gates, you know, running. Rico mentioned to me right off camera where he was saying, you know, a good question is, you know, what is life to you? Me as a 25-year-old man right now, I didn't see life the same as I did as a 15-year-old.
Right.
When I was 15, I thought I was invincible. I thought everything, you know, nothing can harm me. I won't ever get caught up in the wrong crowd. You know, my life can't be taken away like this. Right. Now as a 25-year-old, I'm a little bit more mature and I'm a little bit more wiser where I understand that, every day is not promised. I view things differently. My social groups are different. I mean, even the people that we bring on this show, if we feel a negative vibe, we're not bringing them on this show. So I just want to start this conversation off with that question, you know, what is life to you guys? And I mean, you guys could just take it off right now. Go.
Well, life to me, man, it may be different than it is for everybody else. When I think of life, I think of my life being measured in what I could do, what success I've conquered, the goals I've achieved. When I think about life, I think about who it is financially, physically, and mentally. I don't so much think about the energy that's being used or the energy that's being saved. To me, energy is energy. One thing about a battery, most batteries can recharge. There's some that don't. I'm not one of those batteries that don't recharge. My battery's fully charged even when my energy's bad, but it still gets the job done. So I make sure that at the end of the day, that I know life is what I make of it. Life is something that I have to carry on for my legacies, my kids. If we're going to bring that into aspect, I got kids, you guys may not. But when I think of life in this perspective of age, when you talked about your age at 25 and being more mature, Well, when I had my kids, it was a maturity switch for me. It was the flip for me that did it really was looking my kids in the face, knowing they're looking up to me with a different type of mindset of what do I do? So when we figure out where we're lost and where we find, that's where we're in the abyss. So me, I'm more the person that wants to find out the unknown. So right now with that question is, I want to hear your guys' opinions of what you think life is, because I think I have it figured out for the most part. And I may be able to do something way better with your guys' opinions. So
I think just to piggyback, I think just life is experience, risks, opportunities, you know, laughs, cries, smiles, the good times and the bad times. I think when you get older, everything changes. You know, your perspective on everything. Like you said, you may have not have moved the same 10 years ago or 15 years ago, but having kids kind of made you, you know, so I think just life is all about, you know, taking that. What do you get every day, but it's what do you do with every day?
Right.
So.
That's heavy. I don't know how old you are, my brother. How old are you?
I'm 32.
32. How old are you?
26.
26, and you're 25. I'm 36. So I got a little perspective of you know, also being a single father, of having to do that, you know, full time. I find myself learning new things all the time. I have a mentor that's probably going on 60, right? And he's somebody that says to me all the time that I am an example. He's an example of being able to teach an old dog new tricks, you know, being totally open to new experiences. You know what I'm saying? I think what has kept me young or feeling young and having that energy my brother was talking about is just being able to take the adventure of this thing called life. You know what I mean? Not being like scared of it, but truly embracing it and draining it for all of the juices that it has, bro. I think that's one of the things that has propelled me in so many areas of my life, not being so willing to take the adventures and going places, but the adventures in the depths of my spirit. You know what I mean? Those things that I've maybe put off for a long time as a kid that I had experienced and it harmed me, right? And I just learned how to deal with it in a different way instead of owning it and learning how to propel through that. You know what I'm saying? Being a man that hasn't had his father around, grandfather of my same blood, knowing how that has caused a true disparity, but a great confidence at the same time. It is empowering to be here because I was once with a man without a compass. So just like my brother, I feel like I've gotten a hold of a few things in my life to be able to look at things with a maturity to be able to make good choices. And I think as a man, that's one of the best gifts we have is making solid decisions.
I like how you said, you know, you have a grip on some of the things in your life, but not everything. And I think just as a human in general, you know, us not having control makes us, you know, shaky. It gives us an uncomfortable feeling, right? But you also mentioned a mentor. How important is it just having a mentor in your life, whether it's anybody in your life?
I'm a man of many fathers. I've had mentors all through my life, man, and without it, I'd be lost, bro. I'd be causing myself a tremendous amount of pain, just re-questioning, rethinking, and having doubt, and not being secure in anything. And those things that you would get from your father as a young man, of that nurturing spirit, that confidence building, that overcoming adversity energy you would get. You really don't get that unless you have a mentor at all. You know what I'm saying? Unless you're really hungry to try to face some things in your life on your own. But I've always seen somebody that has actually gone through and conquered some things always been shown the way. You know what I mean? And so I couldn't be the man that I am without the men that I've been able to sit at the feet of. And another thing I think is, men, we should be willing to be submissive. Like,
can you elaborate on that?
I think in a large way, the reason why I've been able to gain a level of wisdom is because I've had to sit at some feet of some men that knew more than me.
Right.
And so I think in this day and age of, man, you can't tell me nothing. and expecting women to be submissive to us as men, we have to be willing to be submissive to a power greater than ourselves, whether it be a man that has more wisdom, whether it be God, whether it be spirit, whatever you want to call it. Right. I think we all as men also should be submissive to something to make room for somebody to be submissive to us.
Did you want to hop in that, Rico?
Yeah, I feel like that's you guys got great ideas. I feel like you guys went through a lot of things from what it sounds like with your life. I wasn't as, I guess I'll say, as blessed to not have a whole bunch of different jack of all trades to learn from. I had a father and I had a mother. So, I mean, I still have a mother. My father passed. But I had a man that was always down my back of success. It wasn't about of how much you could learn or how much you could think you know. It was about how much you could produce and what you could do. It wasn't about their lack of. It was you can do it nonstop and there's nothing ahead of you. So the privilege of you learning to be able to be submissive is something that I didn't get to gain. I didn't get the privilege of being submissive. My father was very stern. My father didn't take emotion well. He didn't cry. He didn't do anything soft. So it's tough for me when it comes to those type of things to be, just even with women or even with my children, I've learned to have a softer side. My daughters broke me down to make me have a softer side. And when people watch my social media, they can see that and they know it's not so much uncomfortable for me, but they're like, hey, we know you in real life. That's you, but it's not you. And that's what the blessing is that you're learning on your own. Right. So I don't get the privilege to say someone taught me this or that. Thing that was taught to me was, sorry, bro.
No, you're good, bro.
The thing that was taught to me was drive, keep your foot on the pedal, and drill whatever lane you're in. The lane you're comfortable in is where you need to be at. I don't jump in the fast lane if I'm not a fast driver. I don't jump in the slow lane if I'm not comfortable with being patient. Right. Me, I'm a mix of the middle lane and the fast lane. I want to be that person, right? Because that's all I know.
Absolutely.
So as I grow and get older, there's things that come in my life that tell me, hey, maybe you need to get in the slow lane. Maybe you need to be okay with being patient. Me, I work. If I have a goal for a year, I make sure that I try to accomplish that goal in a month. Because failure, even if I fail that year, that means I am already months ahead of whoever else is trying to do the same thing as me, because they had their mindset as, I'm going to do it in a year and I'm okay with that. Me, I want it done in a month. I want it done in a week. I want to make sure that that I myself personally don't have room for anybody else's opinion. It's not that I'm saying I'm unopinionated or okay with other people's opinion. It's what I'm saying is that I won't let someone else's words or life move who I need to be.
Right. And I feel you on that, because honestly, I can relate to you, Rico. You know, I had a mother and a father. I still have a mother and a father. Both of them are still together. I was raised in the household that most don't have that opportunity to have both parents living in the same household. But with me and my father, he had expectations. The expectations was high in the house. I was the only child, so there is no blame it on little sister or big brother. It's you. So the expectations in my house was, you're gonna buckle down, you're gonna handle your duties as a man. And I never could understand why my father was so hard on me. I'm like, man, this man's so hard on me. Like it seems like nothing can be done right. It was about complacency. Don't be complacent. He always used to preach and tell me, driving me to school, hey, the world is not gonna love you. And nobody's gonna feel bad for you if, hey, you outside, and you don't have the money to pay for the rent. No man is gonna look at you and feel sorry and be like, oh man, I got that for you. It's so with him, it was always stern. And I can go back to Ryan, because Ryan said he had a lot of mentors. Me, I didn't want no more mentors. I wanted my father, because that's what he was there. I saw him every day. He told me he loved me every day. So as a mentor, I said, I want him. That's who I look up to. That's who my superhero is. And my mother, she did a great job as well. But right now we're on the topic of fathers and male mentors. So with him, I was like, man, what can I do to make him happy? And the whole thing about it was, he was just saying, man, whatever makes you happy, go after it. Just don't make no excuses, because now you can no longer say you never had somebody expect something out of you.
Absolutely.
Just to touch on that, how important is it a mother's touch have on their son?
Man.
I'm going to let y'all answer that. No.
So with me, man, I'm the baby, I'm second to the baby, I should say. My mom just was a different type of woman, just a different breed of woman compared to the generation now. My mom was a no handouts. My mom was a I don't need you. My mom was a just almost as stern as my dad, but still had the touch of, did you bump your knee? Come here, baby.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Are you okay? How was your day? You know, it was the subtle things like that actually the approach was the touch. It was the approach. It wasn't so much about the mental touch or the physical touch. It was the approach of how she came at things. When my father was rah, 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 my mom was the back door, like, hey, come here, let me talk to you. And let me settle this down real quick. This is what your father's meaning. Sometimes you have to have somebody that can put things in words better than another person, because then you start to learn people's actions. This is where actions come in big play for people as a male figure. Sometimes we don't know how to put things in words. Sometimes we're not clever as women with words. So sometimes our first thing is, let's be either physical or let's be either mental with things. Because our words sometimes don't create the vibe they need. Your mom has the touch to be able to do that. Right. A woman is hardwired different than a man, and I try to explain this to every man. When we talk about babies, when women have the kids and things like that, sometimes it's tough to be a single father. I won't say sometimes, it is. Men aren't hardwired from the heavens. Men are not hardwired for a baby. Women actually have the hardwiring. That's something you have to learn as a man, to be hardwired to be tedious. Women are very tedious. I'm not saying in a bad way, but in a good way. They're very tedious, and I can make this bottle. I can lose sleep. I can sacrifice. Men are different in that light. You have to be hardwired to be able to be tedious. And tedious is something that is used in more ways than just one. And let's not get stuck on the word tedious, because most people say, hey, you're tedious, you're petty. You have to have the skills to be empathetic. You have to have the skills to be understanding.
Patient.
You have to have the skills to be patient. They say patience is a virtue. We all know that saying. That's an actual real thing, especially when it comes to children. If you're not virtuistic with your being, your energy, your likeness, you're gonna have a very hard time in being successful at anything you do. I don't care from a business standpoint. You guys know I own several businesses. From a business standpoint, all the way to how you doing, Ryan? It's good to see you, bro. That touch is different.
Right.
That feel is different. If we don't have that, we're lost. We're lost in translation, and we talked about that earlier. That's something that we talked about that I'd like to touch on later on.
I mean, with me and my mother, I love to say this saying, because I felt like I was the most creative when I created this saying. I'm my mother's son. No, I'm my mother's child. I'm my father's son. So me being the only child, I had to play both roles, where it was like, you know, if you fall down, you want to go to mama. Hey, mama going to cater you. Mama going to make sure everything all right. Because you go to dad, he going to say, man up, it's all right. So with my mom, I always tell people, man, she a strong black woman. Just like most people's moms, you know, they're strong, whether, you know, black, white, green, doesn't matter. But my mom was a strong black woman, because when she was growing up, she grew up in the projects. Yeah, she grew up sometimes, you know, moving from house to house and not having certain things. So when I came about, like you said, she was hardwired. When she had me, her whole life changed. She was like, whatever he needs, I'm putting him first. Even to this day, she will put me first. I've seen my mama, hey, you hungry, baby? Be like, yeah. She eating her food. She'll stop and be like, hey, you can have the rest. And, you know, to see that, it's like, man, that's a different type of love.
Sacrifice.
Not saying my mother, she'll give me her last meal. My father will go out there and hustle to get that meal for me. Absolutely. So when I saw both of them, they understand each other's roles. And I'm not going to say it's an old school type of marriage of, oh, she stay at the home and she cook and clean, all that. No, my mom is a very successful school social worker. So I was able to see her in that aspect of, I have respect for my mother, because she goes out there and she grinds just as well. But I will say this, my father was a hustler. He's going to make things happen. He's going to provide for the house. My mother's going to make sure everything in the household is taken care of. So with her, I was like, when I got to 8th grade, that's when she let her hands off. She said, I can't teach you how to be a man. You got to go to your father. And for me, that was the scariest thing, because I could never look my father's in the eyes out of respect, not out of fear. But I was just like, oh, man, what you mean you sending me to him? Like, what you mean he taking me to school every day now? Like, he ain't stopping at McDonald's. He ain't going to do this and all that, say you hungry. Like, I remember my first day of high school, my dad taking me. He was like, you hungry? I'm like, yeah. He drove right past Burger King. He said, school give out breakfast for free every day.
I don't know it.
And I was like, man, my mama would have stopped and got me me a meal. So I understood, but both of them played their roles that, most people don't get to have the opportunity. So I never take that for granted of having both parents in the household.
I think for me, just if we're having a moment of honesty, a moment of truth, my mother and I don't have the best relationship at all. But I think as I got older, I came to terms. I learned to understand that, when she didn't ask for me, but at the same time, she didn't have life figured out neither. And she still doesn't. Nobody has life figured out. You know what I mean? So for me, it was just having an understanding as I got older that it's okay. They lived their life, but they did their best that they could do. You know what I'm saying? Everybody always does the best that they could do. And whether that was giving what she could or what she couldn't, and just understanding that I'm able to, we had our roads, so I was able to forgive her for me, and just understand that, I think as I traveled down my path, I think I started looking for certain characteristics. But then also it had, on the back end, like, I get triggered or I act a certain way just because I didn't have that motherly touch. You know what I'm saying? That I wanted. But at the same time, you don't know what you want. You don't. What we talked about yesterday in the podcast, on the episode, pretty much just talking about you don't have what you what I'm talking about.
You don't miss what you don't have.
Exactly. So I think that plays a big factor in my life. So.
And I'm sorry, Ryan.
No, go ahead.
So, and I think that the trifecta of the mother, father, child energy is huge. But I don't want us to get lost in, like I said earlier with translation. You're just like on your situation. You were up to 8th grade. Mother coddled you, did what she had to do. She showed you what it can be. Yeah. And this is something that was instilled in me as a father now, that I show you how to be hardened. 8th grade, going into high school, kids are mean. Yeah. Kids are ornery, bro. Made fun of wrong things, don't wear the shoes. I don't care if your shoes are still $200. If it ain't the shoes they like, they making fun of you. If it ain't the haircut they like, they making fun of you. So that's where the fatherly play comes in, and that's where your mentors as well probably helped out too, is letting you know, hey, perceiving is the same thing as believing, but actually doing is the same thing as believing as well. And what I mean by that is actually going out there and doing the hardened role. I don't care what you think. Is the best mindset that you could have in certain instances, or else you will be diminished. You will be unpolished. We have to work. They say practice makes perfect. No, perfect practice makes perfect. So make sure at all times you're practicing to be hardened in a different light. I know women want us to be submissive. I know women want us to be a little softer, this, that, and the third. But there's times for that. Right. Just like your father didn't give you his last food. Yeah. The reason he didn't do that, in my perspective, is I need the energy from this food because I'm bringing you back a bigger meal. Your mother's willing to say, hey, I'll starve and you go ahead. But at the end of the day, just like animals, I'm not saying we are animals, but just like that, she may get weak out there. And she may be tired and not want to go to work. She may not have these certain feelings. She may feel worse than as if she would have ate her own meal. So that's where I'm coming with that perspective. I'm not knocking anything, but I feel like the acknowledgement of being hardened for a man is huge as well. And you guys may have different perspectives. You guys have been with the submissive side of things. I haven't. Maybe someone can elaborate.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what, with the mother part, or
with just the submissive. Why we feel it's okay to be submissive as a man. I'm not knocking your.
I don't feel any threatening by it.
Because I don't know. I've never had that side, so I want to know if you guys have that side. Enlighten me, so maybe I can use that side for my daughter, for my kids, because I don't. That side's tough to show. That side for me, I feel embarrassed.
No reason to feel embarrassed. I think just when it comes to the submissive side, I think that it depends on what you're talking about. I think if you're talking about a relationship, then you have to be submissive in a way to kinder to what she may need at that moment. She might not be built from the ground up, but then she's looking for you, not saying it's good or not, but at the same time, she's looking for you to maybe help in a way. But then I think that, plays a role. Like, you look at that other, that partner, that individual, and like, you know what, I want to be in your life, and I want you to be like me. And I'm hardened, right? You polish, so you're going to polish the person sitting right next to you, you know what I'm saying? You don't want to be polished and look at her and she's dirty and grimy.
So this is the thing I'm running into with new age, the new women, the whatever you guys want to call it, is that they're hardened as well. That they're a man's role as well. So with me trying to polish something, it's really tough to be submissive, because then we turn into the reverse roles. It starts to get women that are taking position and running the household or doing what, you're the last say. I hate to be petty with the words, but the last say is big. With my parents, with my family, it went through my mom first. And then when stuff got serious, Pop stepped in. So those roles are kind of missing or flourished or whatever the case may be. So it makes a man like me scared to be, not scared, but timid to be submissive. Because once they smell blood, it's all over. Remember last week when you was boo-hoo, baha, I'm this pillow talk? You remember that last week? That's the nigga I'm remembering.
Right. I think that, not to cut you off, I just I also wanted to touch base on what do, men want from women, right? What do we need from women? And I think, for myself speaking, I think I just need, somebody that I could trust, right? To be there when times aren't, just somebody to be there. I think that's for me, have an understanding. And I think that's what you're getting at. Like, we talked off camera and about like men are nervous or, they shy away from opening up to women because we feel as if, they'll use it later on. And granted, I think we've all experienced that. We get comfortable, right? And we get vulnerable and open. And all of a sudden, it gets shot back in our face the moment that, they're not liking what the situation or anything, when everybody gets flustered. So I think that's my take on it.
I mean, communication is key, right? We always say that amongst relationships or just individuals. But with me, my own personal experience, just touching off what you were saying, because, you do feel hard to, like, sit up there and tell your woman, hey, this is how I'm feeling, and then 2 weeks later, she might throw it in your face. To me, honestly, I've never really had that happen to me. I feel as if she does that, she ain't the one anyway. For her to sit up there, throw that, for you showing emotion, because that's what they always ask for. I want that emotion from you. I want to see who you are as a man. Like, you don't have to always be hard for me. With me, I always figured out, I felt like I was shooting myself a lot in the foot in relationships because, excuse my language, I was always saying, don't fuck this up. And that was internally. I needed to look at myself in the mirror and say, okay, what are you bringing to the table? Once I found out, okay, this is my word, this is what I'm bringing to the table. Now, when I'm dealing with women and we hold a conversation, and Rhea and I always say this all the time, she could say one or two things and it's like, ooh, you're not attractive anymore to me, because I hold myself up to this standard now and this level of, I know who I am. So if you're telling me something and it's like, you don't even know who you are yet, baby, there's nothing that you can do for you and I to work and grow together. It's always going to be a clash, because you're always going to be trying to catch up to me because you're feeling like, oh, you're so sure of yourself. I'm not there yet. So, oh, you must be talking to somebody else, or you might be wanting somebody else more than me. And it's like, no, baby, look, I'm trying to push you. I'm trying to fill your cup. What we had mentioned before, I'm trying to fill your cup, but you're not filling mine up. So now it's like, what are we doing? We're just wasting time. So that's what I get out of it, honestly.
I think that's like dibble and dabble in like the lines of, you're looking at their potential, right? You're seeing their potential, and that's what you're trying to hold them to, is something that they don't even see themselves. So like when you do hold them to a standard, but you hold yourself to an standard, like, we always talk about, like, I have this standard up here, but I won't even treat you anything less other than my own standard, so I expect you not to do that. And yes, if you do that, we got to go, baby. You know what I'm saying? It ain't no more, because you felt like you could treat me lower than that. You thought you could talk to me lower than that. But I won't talk to you like that. So I think it's a thing of respect as well.
You pour into me, I'll pour into you. Yeah.
Right.
And I get that part.
And I want to switch lanes a little bit with that, because we were getting deep, man. I mean, we're going to continue to go a little bit further. Why do you think conversations like this amongst men are so hard? Like, yeah, you're a barber, you have these barbershop talks, but they never dive into it. Somebody might scratch the surface just a little bit, but somebody going to make that quick joke because they're uncomfortable with how deep the conversation is getting, that they want to deter us away from the conversation because it's getting too real for them. So why do you guys think that these type of conversations are so difficult for us as men?
I guess I'll lead off. I just feel like it's the softer side of things, man. Like I said, the roles of being a man, when you can't find yourself or you're afraid to show who you are on that softer level, it's a tough thing to do, because then other men may say, boy, you soft like that? You care about that? I don't care about my girl. And all due in fact, they are doing the same thing as you were doing, but you could express yourself as a man. Some people don't have that type of skill yet. It's all about skill set to me, and having a floor plan with people. I know if I got a group of people that say I come to talk to you, I know we can talk business. Yeah. But this is what we talked about, our social groups and social people of gathering, of who we're around. There's certain people you can't tell your business to. Yeah. So when you come around with men like us that are understanding and intelligent and intellectual, we tend to be able to talk about things like this, because it actually becomes more stress relieving than it does alarming.
And educational.
Becomes educational, because something you're doing may work for my floor plan, and something on my floor plan may work for your floor plan. And once we feed off each other and start to build our houses, because when you build a relationship, it's a house. Once we start to build from the ground up, and the floor plan's great, we tend to have a sturdy household. We tend to have a household that's not going to blow over fast. And that's how we have to think of things. And conversation, good sex, and and mental stability are big three things. And I hate to say it that way, are big three things in a relationship, which I feel. You guys may have a different feeling of, religion and all that. I put that in there too as well. But I'm saying those things are what can make a relationship work right off the bat. They say when you see somebody in the first 62 seconds, you notice, someone else notices what they like or dislike about you. They immediately say, hey, this is mating potential. When we feel that feeling of like, or the pheromones of smell or anything like that, in the first 62 seconds, we figure out that we like somebody. And then when we don't, we tend to stray off. Look, boom, go to the next. Look, boom, go to the next. It's pretty crazy, but that's how it works with pheromones and how we're hardwired as well.
What's your thoughts, Ryan? You got any thoughts on that?
I forgot what we were even talking about.
Why conversations like this are important between men?
I think it's important. I think one reason why it's difficult is because as men, we have such a belief in what we've experienced in our life. And anybody that might be talking about something that is very different from their way of life, it's kind of hard for us to still see that as manhood. And so I think we like to hear people that agree with us more than we like to hear people that differ from us. So it's really hard for us to be in a room to learn something new when we only want to hear things that
we already know.
That's
deep.
I think tapping in on that, I actually, spoke about that. I think that's how friend groups are made. Right?
It's crazy. We just
birds of a feather flock together. You're not gonna be friends with somebody or kick it around with somebody who thinks differently or who tells you no, you're wrong. Especially in today's generation, they're gonna tell me they're wrong. They're the bad guy.
Right.
And I'd rather be the villain if I'm telling the truth.
Exactly.
Than to be a superhero out there. Pretty much.
That's a fact.
And then, just wrapping up this with a final question, and we're gonna go down the road, and everybody can give their opinion on this right here, because this was a test run for Brother2Brother, but this is something Ree and I think we're gonna always keep coming back to do. But I just want to say that, not even talking to just the young males out there, but the young women out there, what is some advice that you would give them to grow as an individual, to better themselves, because they might not be getting the words of encouragement from back home. They might just be struggling. They're in a dark place where they're like, man, I might not make it. Nobody loves me. Nobody cares about me. What is something that you would do or say to them to, just keep them going in this younger generation? Y'all can start down. I'll wrap it up.
I think what I'll tell them is to, first and foremost, just be yourself at all times. We get lost in that, all the glamour, all the, the tangible things and everything that we see, we try to mimic. We live in that day and there right now. So I think I would be yourself, understand yourself, know your worth, meaning actually, I think that's the big thing right now as well. So know your value, know your worth. What do you bring to the table? But at the same time, why you are willing to bring that to the table for the right person. Slow down, take your time. You don't have to jump at every dude that comes to your feet. You know what I mean? Like, actually, understand him, be friends with him first to see if it'll actually, work. Instead of just giving yourself up. I think that I'd say for the short term of it.
Is this for men and women?
Yeah, it could be for just young adults.
Being in the position of mentoring young people on a regular basis, and hearing so many things that these kids are going through right now, like my bro Reed was saying, I would say, be gentle with yourself.
Okay.
Right? Like, we're gonna make mistakes. Like, it's so interesting how demanding we are of other people, and when we're thinking about the demands we make of ourselves, right? And we mess up. We know the right thing to do, and we still mess up, right? We go through things, and we know in our spirit, we know the right thing to do, and we still mess up. So I think really being gentle with yourself and loving yourself. I mean, it sounds crazy that we are still even having these kind of conversations, but the effort that you put in to loving someone else, take 6 months to do that to yourself completely, without no regard for how anybody else feels, and see what that does to your action, your thoughts, and what you are willing to give other people, and what you're willing to stand for. If we can get a basis for that as a foundation, the house gonna have something to sit on.
Perfect.
I like that.
That's very good. So, me, man, if I could speak to somebody that's really just down on themselves, or just feel like there's nobody there for them or any of that, like you said, I would just tell them, don't get lost or don't live their life by what somebody else's idea of your life should be. Don't forget what your abilities are or who you can become. Sometimes we get lost and we get dark and we get caught in those dark days is because we're thinking about the things that we can't do, not the things we can do. We're thinking we're down on ourselves because we're not making someone else happy. We're down on ourselves because we're not making enough money. We're down on ourselves because we're not doing the greatest in school. Whatever the case may be, not most popular or whatever. We go through a lot of different transitions of life. But if you can live your life to what it needs to be lived, what you perceive your life to be, hey, I don't want to be comfortable with being stuck who you think I am. I want to be comfortable with being in the skin, in the t-shirts, the clothes, the mindset that I'm in. If I could just talk to somebody and tell them that, I'm sure it'd enlighten their day. But at the end of the day, we have to understand it's all about us. It's all about what you want to make your life be. So I can tell you as much as I want, and you can take it or you can't. But at the end of the day, we have to be strong-willed. Don't forget to be strong in mind, body, and spirit.
And for me to wrap this up, I would honestly say to the youth or just young people in general, old, doesn't matter, ask questions. It's okay to ask questions, because when you ask questions, you get answers. Don't sit up there and let someone say, oh, that was a dumb question because you didn't know any better. Maybe they might have someone in the household with them that can answer that question. So you are trying to wonder, okay, if I ask this question, can I get that answer? So don't let this social media stuff affect you and, oh, they got the answers and you're following the wrong crowd, because all you had to do was just stop for 1 second and say, let me ask this question that somebody who may know more about this situation than me. Believe me, we've all been in situations that we knew might have been great for us or might have been really horrible for us, but we never wanted to stop and just take a second and say, let me ask this question. So for you guys who are watching, who are listening, ask questions, because you will get the answers that you're searching for. With that being said, we got Rico, we got Ryan. He's Reed Washington. I go by the name of Joshua Hicks. This wraps up another great episode of Opinionated the Podcast, Season 2, Brother2Brother edition. Love, always.
She said, why is it when I call that you always hit decline? Cause every time I pick up, it's the same thing every time. You ask me how I'm doing, and I tell you that I'm fine. Trying to match these demons that I sing about every night.